Hi, everyone. Thank you all for joining us today. My name is Kathleen Kuo, and I am a program manager with Nevada Humanities. Nevada Humanities is a 501c3 nonprofit organization, and we have offices in Reno and Las Vegas. Our statewide work articulates Nevada experience, features local culture and heritage, and encourages intellectual curiosity through grants and programming. I am also the coordinator for the Nevada Center for the Book, which is the affiliate for the Library of Congress's Center for the Book, which aims to promote reading, libraries, and literacy through the Library of Congress and its affiliated centers across the country. And Nevada Center for the Book, this is a program of Nevada Humanities that's dedicated to promoting literature and literacy throughout the Silver State. So today I am super excited to be joined by Jodi Jill and learn about how we can all get involved with next year's Puzzle Day and Puzzle Month celebrations in 2026. And also, of course, how beyond Puzzle Day and Puzzle Month, how we can all include puzzles in our libraries or communities' work. So, Jodi, how are you doing today?
I'm really well. Thank you. I'm excited to be here too.
Yeah, it's great to see you. We've been talking over email for a while, so it's always fun when you finally get to see someone's face for the first time in real life.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So, for those of you who are just meeting Jodi for the first time, she is the founder of Puzzle Day and Puzzle Month. And these fun events, which started from a personal passion, have been held yearly for over 30 years. She shares her puzzle love on her special day freely with over 110 million people who celebrated in 2025. A professional puzzle maker and puzzle enthusiast, Jill is found talking about puzzles to classrooms, conferences, and online, and she is humbled that her passion of puzzles has brought smiles to other puzzle-loving enthusiasts around the world. Jodi Jill has created thousands of word search puzzles and word games, along with dozens of jigsaw puzzles. She's currently developing an eco-friendly way to recycle and reuse old jigsaw puzzles with her second chance jigsaw puzzle craft template kits and craft books. And so before tossing her old puzzle pieces, she has developed a way to repurposing pieces with easy to use templates for kids that ultimately make arts and crafts while keeping puzzles out of landfills. And so you can find out more information about Puzzle Day and Puzzle Month at puzzledayfun.com, which is her website. But we'll get into all this in just a little bit and I put it in the chat. So, for our time together today over Zoom, really our vision is an informal conversation where, I'll be asking Jodi about, of course, her love of puzzles, how we can all get involved in Puzzle Day and Puzzle Month next year. But, for people who are here with us in the chat, I don't want you to feel like you aren't part of the conversation. Of course you are. So, if you have any, comments, observations, questions, please do feel free to put them in the Zoom chat for us. So, I thought, it would actually be kind of fun to start with an introductory question. I really wanted to know from Jodi, what sparked your love of puzzles. So I wanted to know, like, I have a lot of puzzle enthusiasts in my family. Maybe the people here also do. To the point where actually for my one of my wedding presents this year was a gift from my
Oh,
husband's
cute.
aunt, which was a 1,000 piece puzzle of a photo taken from us on our wedding day back in May. So I just thought that was really funny. I've never gotten a custom puzzle before, but this sort of shows, how much people in our extended family love puzzles. But I don't think any of them love puzzles that much that they would start Puzzle Day and Puzzle Month. Like they would go, above and beyond to create a website. So I was just wondering, Jodi, like what sparked your love of puzzles and what made you want to start Puzzle Day over, 30 years ago? That's, a lot of passion right there.
Yeah, it is. Every year it gets bigger and bigger too, which is such a humbling experience. And congrats on the puzzle. That looks fun to do. I don't know if you're going to actually do it, but it's a really cool puzzle. Puzzle Day started out as something very sad, actually. I was abused as a child, extraordinarily abused. We were locked up in a storage unit for 11 years. And when I say locked up, we lived in a unit that was along those freeways where you see um, garage door after garage door. Our unit was number 150 and 151, and my parents would leave us inside and they would leave. And we were there for over 11 years, and it was very difficult. We didn't go to school. And when I say we, it was myself and my siblings. And it was a very dark time for us. And one of the things that's so amazing is how something so awful, something so good can come out of it. And it started basically at the library, believe it or not, because the librarians there would see us come in, and we would come in once a week for an hour. And my parents did this because they were tired of us. They wanted us, to be quiet. And some of the librarians there noticed this. They noticed that we were a troubled family, and they noticed there were problems. And one of the librarians started coming by with a tape recorder with a tape. And then, of course, they had the little headphones so you could listen along as the person read. And this is actually how I learned to read. And this actually started sparking my curiosity about life because we lived in a dark hole. And when I say that, we just had one light bulb. This was not anything fancy. There was cement all the way around us. We didn't have very many toys. We just kind of hung out in there in the dark for the most of the time. And this was in Colorado, so it was also cold, very cold in the winters. And this was the beginning of me seeing something outside of the storage unit, something that was beautiful, that could be better than where we were. And my parents loved to call us mistakes. There was no doubt about that's how they felt about us. So as I began reading, I recognized that there was just so much knowledge out there. I think a lot of people, when they're in terrible situations, they make choices that perhaps aren't always the best, not perhaps the worst, but there was something about the beauty of outside of the storage unit, and I found that beauty in books. And what I also realized very early on is that I was dumb. I didn't know a lot of stuff, and I could tell that by just looking at these books and all the stuff that was inside of them. And I wanted desperately to learn more. And that's kind of where puzzles came in. Puzzles are a thing that you can use. It's a tool, basically, to learn and to grasp and to understand, but they're not judgmental. They allow you to go at your own pace and really gravel towards what you want to do. And I kind of adhered towards puzzles. Puzzles really were a facet for me to find information and to be a better person. It took a long time. And during this time in the storage unit, we didn't have friends. There are no childhood memories that people have and we see in movies. So during this time, the thing I yearned for the most when we finally left and I was out of there was friends. I wanted people who loved puzzles as much as I did because I learned so much from puzzles, whether it was a jigsaw and I saw the skyscrapers, or I worked on word search puzzles. So I was starting to develop a real vocabulary, a real sense of things. My social skills really were awful. So puzzles allowed me to work on those, and I decided that I had to find other puzzle friends. So what I decided to do was put together a puzzle page, and I made my own puzzles. And I had this page, and I was giving it to people. Well, because of the way we grew up, nobody really knew who I was, and there was nobody there of any interest of puzzles. This allowed me to really think outside the box, and I found this book that I loved that I used several times. It was called Free Stuff for Kids. They have a teacher, they have a magazine that's the free stuff, and I submitted this little puzzle sheet to that particular publication and thinking that maybe they would put it in. And the first year they said no, which I was really discouraged because this was my tunnel to find puzzle people. This was my way of actually getting it to work. They said no, and I was absolutely devastated, but I tried again. And the second year, they said yes, and I was so excited. It had my name in it. It had my little piece of Puzzle Heaven in there, and they had my puzzle called Brain Baffler. It was in there as well. And what was so cool about this is it was in the books, and it was at the bookstores, and it was at the library that I went to. So I was really excited. But I had maybe 13 to 20 people who actually submitted something for my puzzles. And I was really bummed because I honestly thought there was more than that puzzle people out there that I could communicate with. But I didn't want to give up because I was coming from a place where there was virtually nothing. I was actually uh, digging fence post holes. I was doing waitress work, but I wasn't really good as a waitress, so I ended up doing a lot of dishes. I had no skills whatsoever, but I just had this dream that there was better out there. And it's hard to say that you have a dream, but you have it like in your soul. So I tried again. Now this third year, it went hog wild. We had over 10,000 responses, kids from all over the country who wanted my cool puzzle sheet. And I started developing like this cool puzzle community, which was so epic. But then I ran into another problem. Being that dishwasher, the person who had low paying jobs, every Friday I would run down, and as much money as I could spare, I would actually take copies, and then I would run to the post office. There was just never enough money to copy as much as I needed. And thankfully, the internet came along, which I am so grateful for because it must have been thinking about me. And I decided to take and adapt this whole idea of concepts of giving puzzles and put it online so I didn't have to give out as many. So that way I could cover everyone. And that's when my puzzle little nugget venture of finding puzzle friends became Puzzle Day. I decided on one special day where people could come and get my puzzles and we could chat and have fun about puzzles And that day was January 29th. And it has a really big significance to me. So the reason I love it so much is it's my birthday. And when we lived in the
Mm.
storage unit, we didn't get presents. We didn't get birthday presents. We didn't get Christmas presents. There was always that yearning for interaction. And I decided that maybe I didn't give any presents, but I could surely give them. And one of the best things about Puzzle Day every year is that I get to give all sorts of puzzles. So, yes, we have thousands of people who download our stuff online now, but I also send out hundreds of puzzles to people all over the world. So that way we can celebrate puzzles together. And that's how Puzzle Day started, which is really very simple. There's no brand behind, there's no craziness. It's just me hoping and finding those puzzle enthusiasts. And it's become so big that now people are like, one day is not enough. So 20 years ago, and this coming January is the 20th year of Puzzle Month. And you will see people puzzle monthing everything from bookstores to libraries. Everybody gets out and they pull out their favorite puzzle and they share it with their friends, themselves, and they actually find the smiles on their faces. And that, I think, is what's so important about this, is that this little idea of finding people has become a community of people who find puzzles and smile.
Thank you so much for sharing that, Jodi. Just what an amazing story and background. And, I put this in the chat, but I'm so glad that puzzles were there for you, that libraries were there for you. And I said, now you get thousands, if not millions of puzzle friends every single year. And that's just so amazing. I wanted to ask about, again, just with puzzles specifically, and there is no right or wrong answer, just sort of, your thoughts and feelings, but what do you think makes them so accessible for people of all ages and backgrounds? Like kids can love them, adults can love them. What is it about puzzles that attracts people?
I think it comes to two different things. The first thing is they're not judgmental. I remember as a kid not being concerned about what this puzzle thought. In one particular time, um, I basically had no money and no place to go, and I was sitting on a curb on a sidewalk playing a jigsaw puzzle. It was just me and the jigsaw puzzle, and we could shut everything else out. And I think that's the other thing, that we are allowed to focus our energy on the goodness of ourselves. It doesn't have to be a jigsaw puzzle. It could be a crossword puzzle where you're figuring out the clues, or a word search puzzle. Perhaps you're a Wordle fan. Those allow us that engagement and interaction with while we're feeling confident. We're feeling good about ourselves. I think puzzles really bring that. They also make us smarter. So they sneak in that knowledge, and we're not being taught or lectured. We're consuming it in a soft, lovable way. So I think that's really what it is. And when you talk to senior citizens and they're doing puzzles, I go to a lot of activities that are that age group. They are very serious about their puzzling, and they love their puzzles, whatever that puzzle is, and they will tell you all about it. And when you go to a elementary school, once again, those kids are very serious about what puzzles they like and what puzzles they don't, and they are specific about it. And I think that's tactile. That's all of who we are. Those are parts of who we are, and we can all not like a particular puzzle or love a particular puzzle, and we're cool with that. There's no like bad stuff that comes out of it. And I really think that people are looking for that pouch of goodness where they can contribute without being judged. Oh, I can't hear you.
I think that you're muted.
Oh, thank you, Tanner. So I want to say, Jodi, I just feel like so inspired to start a puzzle. Like I wish I were like puzzling right now while I was listening to you. Um, I wanted to ask, for people who want to get involved with Puzzle Day, next year. I think we have a lot of people here who are with us in attendance, but also who will be watching this recording later. And they would love to get involved or know like how they can celebrate alongside you. What is the best way for them to get involved?
So there are a lot of activities going on around the United States. But let's say that you just want to do something solo, or you want something to do in your community or your family unit, or perhaps even your library. We have a lot of free puzzles on puzzledayfun.com where you can actually plug in. We have escape rooms. We have my favorite, what is a gamma graphs, which I'm totally obsessed about now. We have all sorts of packets about just Puzzle Day itself. Or if that doesn't work for you and you want something that's like focused to you, There's puzzles at the grocery store. If you're going in for milk, you can grab one off the shelf. There are puzzles at toy stores. There are puzzles at department stores. The idea basically is this. You set a time aside, 2 or 3 hours, and you have some fun with it. The tools that I offer are ones that I think that would help everyone. But the best part about Puzzle Day and Puzzle Month is not so much about being lectured on what you have to do, but fitting what works with you and your community. I found that librarians are the best when it comes to knowing what works for their patrons. And so I always offer a smattering of things that they can do. And then I also tell people who are just individuals, hey, if you want to play puzzles, but you don't want to go to a store and purchase 20 of them, go to a swap meet and swap out 2 or 3 puzzles. There's just so many avenues that you can actually do that work pretty well to contribute to Puzzle Day. But the best part is to put whatever you're doing online. Share it with your friends, because what happens is your friends are going to be like, what are you doing? Why are you playing puzzles? And the next thing you know, they're inviting themselves over to your house to play puzzles with you. So there's just so many great things you can do. And I've hoped that I've put out so many things that are possible. And that's our digital stuff. But we also have a lot of jigsaws and a lot of advice for institutions that are looking for easy to plan options and also low budget options. Because Puzzle Day shouldn't cost you an arm and a leg. This is not Christmas. This is something that you can do to come together. And when you talk about arm and a leg and puzzles, did you know that $2.1 billion of puzzles are bought every year? And 60% of those are bought in January. Now, I've had a real good talk with Santa Claus because I'm worried about being on the naughty list. But it's so crazy to think that people really shift their gears from holiday fun to puzzle fun. And I always encourage people, that doesn't mean you have to play jigsaws. That doesn't mean you have to play crosswords. What it means is you just figure out what works for you. And also think about the level that works for you. There's 10 different levels on any game or puzzle. And if you think about what level you are at, that there's the comfortable level that you can do, and then the level that's next level up that you can push harder, or maybe a level down so you can play with your family. So it's really thinking about how you want to contribute to Puzzle Day. That's what's so cool about it.
I'm gonna share 2 photos that you sent to me, and we can talk about them a little bit more, to talk about how people can get involved with Puzzle Day. So let me share my screen here. Oops. All right, so hopefully everyone can see this. So, Jodi, can you tell us more about this photo?
Yes, this is crazy. Welcome to my carport. This is this is a puzzle right now that is 8 foot by 4 feet. The size of the puzzles are about like this, the pieces themselves. I wanted to do something spectacular, so we have a bunch of these puzzles that are going around to different institutions where the kids can play a puzzle. And this one in particular is called Puzzles and Books. Everyone's sitting in a Java place. They're drinking their coffee, their lattes, their teas, and their hot chocolates, and they're chatting about how they're all connected. So this one is very cool. It is going to be on the 3 or 4 places on the East Coast, which I'm super excited about. And I have been practicing on it because I want to see how long it would take me to put this together. And right now it takes less than 10 minutes for me to put the whole puzzle together. And in being it's 4 by 8, if you just imagine the smallest sedan, that's the size of this puzzle. It's crazy, it's cool, and it's one way to entice the kids because for older folks like myself, I'm not that old, but old enough that when you bend over something that's this low to the ground, your back cracks. But for the kids, they love it. And we've also been getting bigger tables so you can stand up and do it. I just want kids and people to think about puzzles in a different way. We all think about the itty bitty little puzzle pieces. But if you compare that to the big ones and you look at this, it just brings a different dimension on how puzzles can be our friends and what puzzles can be. And for this in particular, when I did this image, I really wanted to show the unity because puzzles and books come together with me like one piece of a pie. And I actually would throw art in that category some too. And this is very, very cool. And this is the only place I could play it in my whole condo. And it's sort of funny, and the neighbor was sort of horrified. So there you go.
That's great. And then let me go to the other photo so we can zoom in. Can you tell us more about this picture here?
Absolutely. Now, one of the things I believe in is recycling and repurposing. And when it comes to jigsaw puzzles, after like the third use, you have sort of a problem, which is you might lose a piece. It may no longer be of interest to you to play again, or perhaps it's wearing. And one of the things I've been really looking at is, what are we doing about recycling jigsaw puzzles, repurposing jigsaw puzzles? If you have 1,000-piece puzzle, 78 of them is 119 pounds of garbage. Now you may say, oh, I recycle them, which, that's awesome. And for the newer ones, you probably could, except for the recycling centers are no longer taking puzzles because those itty bitty pieces get stuck in those conveyor belts as they put all the recycling together. And if it's an older piece puzzle, you have a problem because the inks are not inks that can be recyclable. So most of these puzzles are still ending up in the landfill. This is my new Kickstarter that starts in January, and the idea is templates. I want to be able to show kids that we can take these extra puzzles like this and make things out of these pieces. And these pieces are random pieces. This is a perfect project that you can do if you do puzzle swaps, so you have leftover puzzles. These are perfect projects if you want to show kids about being eco-friendly no matter what time of the year. And they're a perfect way to actually use the puzzle one more time. One of the things about this project that was very concerning was I needed to have some hands-on experience. Now, earlier this year, I was in Brooklyn and I did a presentation for these fifth graders. And one of the cool things is they were talking about puzzles, and I brought my puzzle and we were sharing. And then the teacher librarian brought out a puzzle that they had, and it had 4 missing pieces, and it was Backstreet Boys. She hadn't actually been able to update the puzzle because it had 2 missing pieces, but it still was in their curriculum. So I talked to her about this. I said to her, why do you still have this puzzle? There's so many great puzzles. And she said, our budget is tough. So if we lose one, we can't gain one. We have to have a rotation. So this idea came from that. It came from the fact that they could use that Backstreet Boys puzzle, even though it's missing a few pieces, make art, and then buy a new puzzle to replace that so that we can continue to actually change up, educate the kids, but also recycle and repurpose. And to me, it's been an interesting experience. It started there. I've had this project in front of about 3,000 children, and they are the hardest critics in the world. They'll make you cry if you're not careful. And one of the things I loved about their advice was what they did and didn't like. And so we took all their advice. We have a book that is absolutely free. It's on Puzzle Day Fun of templates. We have the kits. We have the kits without the pieces, so you can just have your own pieces because everybody has puzzles somewhere. And the hope here is to really get people to think about, what are you doing with your puzzles? If we're buying $1.2 billion worth of puzzles in the United States, what's happening to those puzzles on our shelf? Are we just secretly pitching them, or are we giving them to a friend with a little note that says, sorry about the missing piece, the dog ate it? I mean, what are we doing about that? And I really want people to look at this and go, wow, this is a different way that we can use these puzzles one more time before we either toss them or we recycle them in some capacity. And it's a project that I really feel near and dear to. I've been working on how you can make faces, how you can do like puzzle tails for the kids, just different ways that they can actually use these pieces again. Now, with used puzzle pieces, the one thing I always talk about is the fact that there is dirt on these pieces. And I've come up with a way to clean the pieces. So whether you're doing a puzzle swap or you're doing one of these types of projects, the pieces that come out of that, they're ready to use. Because you want everybody to be comfortable with the use of these pieces. And it's important because sometimes the older puzzles get a lot of dust. They get mites. Some of them are just not salvageable. A lot of them are, though, and they just need a little brushing and get rid of the hair. So this is this project, and it starts on the 1st of January. It's on Kickstarter. I'm really hoping it does well. And even if it doesn't, all the little critics that I had about this and all the feedback I got, at the end of the day, they were very, very, very positive, and they smiled at their cool dinosaurs. And we have a lollipop. We also have flower vases and a bunch of other templates, and we have faces. And I call it puzzle faces. And this is one that's also on the website. And you can make faces out of the actual puzzle pieces. Doesn't matter what size the piece are. Doesn't matter where the pieces have come from. They look a little weird if you have puzzle on the pieces if they're a word. But outside of that, any color works fabulous. And I think it's a really great way to teach children to be good stewards and yet have a great time. And the best part about this project is I met kids who hate puzzles. But this puzzle, this idea, they're all creatively cool with it. They're all like, oh my goodness, this is my jam. So they saw puzzles in a different way, and it opened the door for them to actually consider what puzzles could be for them. Because a lot of people sometimes don't like puzzles, and it's because there's this huge roadblock. So you show them in different ways, and they go, oh, well, they're not so bad. I mean, I love puzzles, so I can't imagine it. But there are people out there that just sometimes don't have the feel for it.
I love that. I feel like there are so many different ways you could take this idea, and I think it's very neat that you're doing a Kickstarter. If anyone wanted to imagine doing something like this for their community about, how to repurpose puzzles, or if you have any thoughts, I'm sure like, we could encourage them to reach out to you as well, like through your website. Like if they want to do a community project or, a day of puzzle swapping or, creating beautiful puzzle art. I think this is a great way to reimagine what you can do with puzzle pieces.
Absolutely. And I encourage anyone who is interested to please reach out. We help with all over different things all over the United States. This is my passion. I make time for people, and I really love helping communities because you know your community best. I have the tools. I can help you. You can tell me what tools work for you. But like with the templates, um, that's a quick email. I can give you the templates, and you see the kids' faces light up. That's all it is in the world. I mean, that's what it is. That's beautiful. So.
I love that. So I just have a couple other questions for you, and then if anyone here wants to ask any questions, please feel free to do so. I wanted to ask, so on your website, actually, you mentioned there's over 900 kinds of puzzles, and you've also mentioned a couple different puzzles here today. So in addition to, these like jigsaw puzzles, you mentioned crossword puzzles. I think you mentioned agamagraphs. Like, what are some kinds of puzzles that, maybe people might not have heard of before, or what, you might not usually think of when you think of puzzles? Like, what are other ways to sort of expand our puzzling horizons?
So for puzzles themselves, there, like I said, there are 900, and probably there's even more if you count all the historical puzzles. Um, One of the ones I love that's a digital puzzle, but it's still when it comes to brain cells, mine definitely melts. Is Harbor Brackets, which is the Atlantic magazine. It is where they put different words inside of brackets. You got to figure the brackets out, and then once you figure the brackets out, it's kind of like a huge math equation, but with words, and it's crazy. And every time I work on it, I do need ice like to put on top of my head because I feel like my brain's melting. Another one that I think that is pretty phenomenal. I love Ken Ken, which is a very unique word puzzle. Definitely very cool. And then I wanted to show this other one. This is called a Shashaboo, and this is a Rubik's cube of sorts, but it's not. And what it is it's a very cool cube that pulls out, and then it makes different displays of different things. And one of the things I love about this, it's like a Rubik's cube in a way, but when it pulls out, it's magnetic and everything, is they use professional artists. So when the kids play with these cubes, they also are learning about art, which I think is so very cool that, one hand shakes the other kind of thing. So those are the kind of wonderful puzzles that I look for. At the very beginning, I talked about brain bafflers. The brain baffler is something that I've done for years, and it's syndicated in 90 newspapers around the United States. It's a weekly puzzle, and it's a word search. And when you're done finding all the words, then you have the letters left over, and that equals the answer. So I've always been a word search junkie. It's just one of the places I've loved. But there have been a lot of places that I explore. And when I talk to people about puzzles, they always are like, oh, well, there's no puzzles in my world. And I always say to them, do you have a car? And they're like, yes. I'm like, well, then you have to drive places. And that is the ultimate maze. When you get on a freeway, whether it's a 15 or whatever, you're driving along, you have to surmise how to get to where you need to go, outmaneuvering other people. That is a maze. There's just no way around it. And so we are using these puzzles in everyday occurrences, but we don't see that. Another perfect example is LinkedIn now has games and puzzles. And those LinkedIn puzzles, my favorite one is Zip. I have been, since day one, I've been a zipper. And I love that puzzle. It's really intense. I try to do it as fast as possible. So you've got them there. You've also on TED now and TEDx, they have puzzles that they're doing. Again, this is fabulous. And I'm not going to lie, I'm the person that yells on Wheel of Fortune. Now, I'm not at Wheel of Fortune, but I know they can hear me because I'm yelling at the TV about what this should be or what that should be. And Vanna always looks good, but the dudes always forget to get the right letter. And so I always tell my friends when you come over between, 7 and 8, please be cool because, yes, I'm screaming at the television, but it's not my fault. The people at Wheel of Fortune need help. So puzzles are around us, and it's pretty phenomenal where we see them and how we see them, and if we choose to see them. When we apply for a job now, people ask us riddles, they ask us quizzes, they ask us questions. They want to see how smart and how virtual thinking we are. And so we may think, well, puzzles is just in a newspaper or online, and it's all about this or that. It truly is about our culture. And I think we're seeing more of a comeback in two ways. One, colleges are now encouraging people to think about a major in making puzzles. Now, it used to be creative arts was illustrations or photography or maybe even that type of thing. Now, being a puzzle maker is a real thing. There's also companies now that where you can plug in and learn how to make puzzles. And this is true even for like the New York Times crossword puzzle. Someone like you or I can actually go and they open it up every year and you can submit your puzzles to them to see if they would actually publish them. So creating puzzles has become a big business. And so has the art on puzzles. Puzzle art is just super amazing. And so you see famous people. There's a gentleman, his name's, I believe it's Kent Abbott. He's a best-selling author, and now he has actual jigsaw line. This is the first ever for any type of author novelist that would even consider this. He has 195 million copies out of his books, and he's got a huge selection of books, and now he's got a line of jigsaw puzzles. I find that just to be mind-blowing and amazing. So the cross between us living in puzzles keeps coming together and together, and we just don't notice it because it's our everyday lives.
I forgot to ask you earlier when we were talking about Puzzle Day and Puzzle Month, but I know you have like a printout or a packet of
I do,
resources.
yes. So we have over 100 different puzzles online for research resources. They're all free, no need for a email or anything. And this is what we have here. And this is our Puzzle Day kit. But then we have all sorts of other ones. And another thing we have this year, I don't know if you know him, but Jim Benson has also done a puzzle kit for us. And this is a very cool free thing that's online. He's a best-selling author for kids. He works with Simon & Schuster, and he's fabulous. I met him here in Las Vegas at a conference, and then I said to him, I would love if you'd consider it. I also met the man here in Vegas who created Tetris, which I was like stalking his booth until I could get a chance to talk to him. And the thing about puzzle people and even about Jim is that when you have something that you're really pushing for the kids, you find time to do that. And Jim found time to actually put together this kit, and I'm so grateful for that. And we have it up online again; it's free, and we have all the different games. I just think that if you can encourage a child or even an adult to pick up a puzzle and they like it compared to just something that strikes their interest, that's the way to have it. So we have everything up online. I have to say I had so much fun putting it together, and then I also worry because you have to do the answers, which is always the hardest part.
I don't know if you were looking at chat, but yeah, Tanner says I just bought a jigsaw puzzle that is also a crossword, so you can do the crossword puzzle and you use that as the key for the jigsaw, and that just completely blows my mind. That's really amazing. And what I
It's
also
very
love
cool.
about all of this is, again, I think when we talk about, how to celebrate Puzzle Day and Puzzle Month, I think a lot of people, when you say the word puzzle, they immediately think of jigsaw puzzles or maybe crossword puzzles. And there's just so many different kinds, so many different ways for people to get involved in January and beyond. So, I'm hopeful for anyone, listening and watching that you have some ideas of how to get people just involved with all sorts of different puzzles that are out there. Like I just love that. As you said, Jodi, no matter your age or your background, if you want to do it alone or with a group of people, puzzles are just such an accessible way of just being in community. You could be doing puzzle day at home, but know that millions of people out there are also doing a puzzle with you on puzzle day for your birthday every year. That's just really,
Yeah.
really great.
It is cool. I have to say, I love it. And some people actually just bring a puzzle to work and put it in their lunchroom, and that's their contribution. So puzzles
Mhm.
can cover anything you'd like it to be, and that's the best part.
So is there a hashtag or something that you would like people to use on social media? So if, someone watching this today, downloaded your Puzzle Day resource kit, or if they had an idea for repurposing puzzles and they want to share it with you, what's the best way for them to share it on social media or with you? Like, is there like a hashtag, or how do you want them to spread the word?
So every year we use two hashtags, which is hashtag Puzzle Day and hashtag Puzzle Month. You can also contact me directly, either through the website or online, because that's Jodi Jill. But we have a lot of people that watch, and we tweet and we share and we post and we like, and we always try to catch everyone. And some of the most amazing images come in from our puzzle fun. We have a lot of folks who are like advertisers that do puzzle kinds of things, and we have a lot of people who do puzzle kinds of things. And then every once in a while, you have somebody that takes your breath away. A couple of years ago, using our hashtag Puzzle Day, there was a school in Nigeria, and they were all the kids were standing out in front, and they had made their own puzzles using one of the templates that I put together that year, and they were all smiling and showing it, and it was so amazing. And last year in Pennsylvania, this and I don't know these people. They were actually people that were with the groups, but they had downloaded one of my puzzles, not puzzles online, but other places I have puzzles. They downloaded one of those, and then when they downloaded it, they were showing them playing a puzzle about hot chocolate, and it took my breath away, because it's one thing when you make a puzzle, you start with a piece of paper and then you build out from there. It's quite another to see someone in their 60s and 70s just smiling, playing your puzzle, and being able to solve it. It was just amazing things. And every year I see more and more crazy, wonderful moments that are very humbling about what puzzles do, how people are engaging in them. And I always love to see them. I always like it. And I try my best to always respond to it, because it's nice to see a like. It's wonderful that says, if I can take a minute, say, happy puzzle day, or hey, this is awesome, or you guys look great. So I've got a little team in here that is going to help me this year. Last year I was just snowed under because I was in New York and I was doing TV and such, but this year I've got a little team, and we're all going to go out and we're going to celebrate puzzles with the people. So that's my hope and dream this year.
That's great. Well, is there anything else you would like to say to folks in attendance? And then after that, I thought I would stop the recording, and then we can, have any, just like if anyone has any other questions or comments that you could share off the recording, we could do that as well. But is there anything else that you would like to say to people listening today that
I
we
would
might have
just like to
missed?
tell everyone thank you very much for listening. I always appreciate that. And thank you for thinking about puzzles. Puzzle Day is for everyone. And whatever you do on Puzzle Day, thank you for being part of it. I'm very humbled. And of course, happy Puzzle Day. That's awesome. And happy Puzzle Month. And I hope that you get a chance to just have fun, because that's what it's all about. It's not about anything more than put a smile on the people, your face, and the people around you. So happy Puzzle Month.
I love that. Well, thank you everyone for tuning in for today's program with Jodi. I'm going to stop our recording now, but I hope everyone has a wonderful rest of your day, and we'll see you next time.